good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Don't worry, we are not having our official start just yet. We still have 2 minutes to go. My name is Michelle Clark. I'm the Chief Partnerships Officer for Genius Group. This is officially coffee and networking time. So I have got my drink here. So I can see we have got lots of people already filing into the waiting room to say hello. So we wanted to get started and let you join us here. I will be introducing Roger very, very shortly. I'm very excited. So if you're already here and you've pressed play, you will be on this page here. And you can see we've got people already coming in and saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, telling us where they're dialing in from. So I'd love you to go over here and you can see all these comments already that have been happening before we've even got started. Everyone, oh, there's Roger's already here. He's in Poland as well. Everyone's going in and introducing themselves. So do go in and say, what is your name? Well, we can see that from Facebook. Tell us where you're dialing in from. And I always love a bit of a weather update as well. And maybe what is your morning networking drink that you have right now? I have got my hot water with herbs as Joe Formosa's Health Dynamics. So do go in and let me know who is in the waiting room with us already. We will be starting very, very soon. I'm going to click here and load the new comments so I can see as everybody's in there. Hi, Debbie from Cape Town. Hi, Michelle. Michelle's in Johannesburg as well. So we've got all the team in here too. So you're going to see, hi, Tina. Hi, Colette. So you'll see as you're going in, the team are going to be saying hello to you as well. Hi, Annette. Morning, Suresh. And Deborah's here from Australia. So good afternoon. Good evening to Kyron. Must be pretty late for you there. And Sophie in Stockholm. So it's great to see everybody coming in. Yvette as well there in Australia. So I'm looking and just watching everybody learn. Roland, hi Roland. Roland's in Germany. Schön guten Morgen. We've got Lynn in Oslo in Norway as well. Hey Michelle. Emily, yeah, it is kind of pretty rainy here in the UK, right? It's a little bit dark and miserable here as well. Pretty standard weather for the UK for us. All right. So I now make it exactly 8 a.m. my time, which is I'm in Preston in the UK. So let me introduce to you our awesome speaker for today. For those of you who have not met him before, and welcome everybody, first of all, to the Global Entrepreneur Summit. This is the first time we have run the Global Entrepreneur Summit virtually. And it's super exciting. We have got thousands of people here who have registered to join us today. So I'm really excited to be seeing the comments, seeing the reactions from everything that Roger is going to be sharing. I have had a sneak peek of what he's about to share with you, and it is super duper exciting. So if you haven't seen Roger before or been to one of our events or heard him talking on one of our webinars, Roger is the creator and founder of Genius Group, which is the world's largest entrepreneur education group right now, with a valuation of $100 million. Right now, he is leading and spearheading the IPO, which is happening next March, which he'll be telling you more about as well, which is super exciting. So currently within the group, we have Entrepreneurs Institute, which is our training and mentoring company, Entrepreneur Resorts, which is our locations company, and Genius.YOU, our tech platform as well. You'll be getting to hear more about those today. So Roger is a futurist. He is a social entrepreneur. He's a New York best-selling author as well. He's the creator of Wealth Dynamics, the creator of Talent Dynamics, used by over 2 million entrepreneurs worldwide. I know you are going to have the most awesome 2 days with Roger, or 2 half days with Roger. So much value that he's about to share as we take you through the top 10 trends for the coming decade. So Roger James Hamilton, I will give you a big round of applause because it's just me here at the moment. Good morning to you in Poland.
Hi, that is so funny. I get one person doing a round of applause. Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. Well, thanks for being our MC as well, as in MC as in Michelle Clark. It's super cool. Yes. I know for everyone who's on here, you're going to be seeing Michelle all the way through the next 2 days, including many other exciting guests that we're going to be having on here as well. So thanks, Michelle. And I am going to kick off. Let me, first of all, start by just sharing a little bit more on what Michelle was just sharing. We are all on the screen here. You can see I'm actually looking at myself, and Michelle's still there because there's a bit of a time lag. I'm just going to pause this for a second. But I'm actually looking at the comments here, and you can see Dominic's here saying, hi, excited to get it started. We've got Simran here saying, how do you connect via Zoom? So anyone watching this, anyone who's technically challenged, just letting you know, we've got 3,000 people who have registered to be on here right now, got their tickets. And so we are going to be busy. 2 things. One is all you need to do is click the play here, and you'll be actually seeing us live on here. And we are recording this, so you can come back if we are speaking too quickly or going through too much and covering that as well. Lots of people already posting. Here is me. Hi, everyone from Poland. but soon sunny California. Yes, some news from today is I am actually going to be moving out to the US with the IPO because we have got a number of acquisitions, including a university, a school, where we're taking the entrepreneur curriculum we have and making it fully accredited all the way from high school through to degree level and all the way into adult learning. You're going to be hearing about exactly what we're doing, how we're doing all that. And we can see here, we've got Vicky here from the UK, we've got Michael here from the Gold Coast, we have Michelle here from Cape Town, and I know we have some of our US friends who are, or Canada friends, super late at night. We've got Kyron here from New Zealand. And if you're kind of wondering why no one's posting anything at the top, it's because there is a link here which says click here to load new comments, and you click on this, and then hey presto, we just went from 53 comments, and now we have got 131 comments. And again, everyone is in here posting. Now, just to let you know, we will be monitoring the chat and we will have some Q&A. So if you do have some questions, just feel free to post them in there. Not to say we're going to get to everyone's questions, but we're going to do our best to cover the most important, relevant ones for everyone when we're actually going through today and tomorrow. We're going to go through 2 parts each day where we've got a 2-hour section. We've got a 15-minute break. We come back to the next 2-hour section. You're not going to want to miss a minute of it because there's so much that is going on right now. So good to see so many people I recognize and so many new faces here as well, which is fantastic. We're going to make this very interactive as we go through this as well. So if you haven't yet posted, please do post down there as well. We do have a little bit of a competition going as always, and whoever is the most active is going to get a little bit of a surprise prize tomorrow. We also have got this as the final penultimate part. Penultimate is the second final because we actually have something coming after this, which is all making up the entire Genius Entrepreneur Festival. And we have had last week 20,000 people join our challenge, and we have an awards ceremony where we get to see who became first, second, and third, which is going to be happening during the summit as well. So if you actually joined into that, we have $50,000 of prizes we are going to be giving away as we go as well, right? So lots of exciting things that are going to be happening. We're going to be doing some demonstrations. We're going to be basically showing you how you can go about setting yourself up for the coming digital decade, all right? Now, all of the stuff that you need is on this actual page. You're also going to be able to see that down below there are a couple of resources. We have a summit playbook, which you can download. There's also some slides. And then we also have something called the VIP Chop Fastback. We'll tell you about a little bit later. And I actually prepared one of these playbooks a little bit earlier. I actually just downloaded it. Here it is. And you're going to find on here, we not only have some resources for you and things to be looking at on here. The team have been very kind and filled up the entire first, second, and third page with just lots of pictures of me. So my apologies for the overkill on my face. But anyway, if you just pass through those ones, you will see we actually have got on this summit much more than just this live webinar. We actually have got all these city hosts in all these cities that you can see around the world, where they are actually tuning in together with their groups. So hello to Seattle, Los Angeles, London, Durban, Brisbane, Sydney, Taiwan, all around the world, Singapore. And what I will say is that during the next 2 days, if you really love what you're hearing here and you want to be part of the entrepreneur movement and you do not see your city on here, well, we'll kind of share with you what we're doing in the next year, how we do it, and how you can be a part of it. We have all sorts of partners around the world, so a big shout out. If you are one of these partners, please do post in the comments, basically yourself and your company so people know of you. Every one of them supported by bringing people to this summit and actually also hosting programs in their own cities as well. You know, we've got Kathy here, Domus, Eileen, all from different countries. Eileen's in Ireland, Domus is in, I think it's Lithuania right now. We have Eric here from the Netherlands, and then we have got, you know, Kim, Laura, Lisa, again, all around the world. Nyami, Sophie's in Sweden, Lisa's in America. We've got Alexander here in Switzerland. We have Anne, Anthony, Catherine, quite a number of people here in the UK, in South Africa. Charlotte's from Australia. Then we have Cliff, also South Africa. We've got Christy, Debbie, Dr. Elizabeth. And then we have Eva, Gillian, Hugh, who's in New Zealand, Ian, and Jan, who is in the Czech Republic. So all over the place, we have got amazing people in our community. Jonathan, Kathy, Louina's here, Louise, Lords, Luther, and then we continue, Pam, Penny, Richard. You can see every one of them have got their actual links to their companies, and they're all basically in one form or another part of the different programs we're already running. We've got Sandra here, we've got Simon, who runs the Property Investors Network, and it continues. We have Susan, Terry, Trevor, Woon Tan. And you know, some of these people I've known for over 10 years. I mean, I met Woon in Singapore many years ago. Simon, who you're going to be hearing from a little bit later, would, been on this journey for over a decade, seen him grow both Property Investors Network and also Crowd Property, which is a property crowdfunding company. And what is so amazing about this journey is not just where we've been, but where we are going. And with that, I'm going to jump right into the first of my slides that I have here. So you can download that, by the way, just so you know, it's got all the info in here. But I'm going to start with the first of these slides, which is this one here. Like I said, we're going to make this interactive. So I have a question for you. The question is, where were you 10 years ago? We're going to be talking about the digital decade, but 10 years ago was 2010. Look, this picture here is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was alive 10 years ago. Steve Jobs was on stage presenting the iPhone 4. This is the iPhone 4. This was the 2007 iPhone 1, or they didn't call it 1, they just called it iPhone. But from the first iPhone, they got to the fourth one by 2010. It had a memory of 8 gigabytes. You could actually upgrade to 16, or the maximum you could do was 32 gigabytes, right? That was the size of the iPhone just 10 years ago. It was the year they actually launched the iPad. So this was actually Steve on stage, basically sharing about this amazing thing called the iPad. So think about it, 10 years ago, like were you in the same job or the same business? Were you living in the same country? Like what was different compared to now? Post your comments in the comment section, because if you realize just how much things change within 10 years, it allows you to see just how much things can change in the next 10. We're going to be talking about 2020 to 2030 on this call. We're at ground zero right now, 2020, and we have got this amazing opportunity to actually recreate what's going on in the world right now. And what we're going to see is what's actually happened in the last 10 years has been pretty dramatic. I mean, like 2010 was like really the peak of the global financial crisis. It started in 2008, it got worse in 2009. 2010 was like the bottom, peak and bottom, whichever way you look at it, is like, that was the point where, a lot of people weren't really worried too much about the future because they were just trying to get by day. Elon Musk with Tesla had no money. He was basically like, just dumping all his money into Tesla and SpaceX, thinking that he was going to go bust. This was 2010, right? Now, like Elon Musk is the second richest man in the world. That all happened within 10 years. So where were you? Post it in the comments. I'm actually coming over back to the comments. I won't be doing this all the way through. I will be doing this all the way through, but not in every 10 minutes. But I'm just going to check in and just see what people are actually doing. Same country, different job. That was Rita. Peter, I just started my consultancy and did my first World Dynamics test, Dealmaker. That's very cool. We've got Jay here with my 10-year-old son in another US state. So I'm guessing now he must be 20 years old. Doubled in 10 years. So it's incredible just how much people already are shifting. Here's Niraj, who's in India right now. Super cool to see you here. What is so amazing is the truth in Bill Gates's quote, which is we underestimate what we can do in a year, and we grossly underestimate, we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we grossly underestimate what we can do in 10. It's a whole lot easier, by the way, when you think about problems. There's two different types of problems. There's difficult problems and there's easy problems. So at the moment, there's probably problems you're faced with yourself, whether they're problems to do with how you're running your business, whether they're problems to do with like where you go next in life. There's easy problems, there's difficult problems. The only difference between the two is time frame. If you've got 10 years to do certain things, you put a vision out for 10 years, it actually becomes pretty easy because you've got a lot of time to do it. So what is going to be your big goal, your big dream that we're going to actually be focused at during these next 2 days? Don't make it like, I got to do this next week, right? Like be thinking, okay, what if I had 10 years to actually do it? How big would I dream? If you have any problem right now and you're trying to solve it, give yourself a different time frame and suddenly it actually becomes a lot more solvable. Difficult problems are the ones that have to be solved point blank, like right now. And too many of us are just constantly going reactively from moment to moment with difficult problems, as opposed to actually just stretching time out. Buckminster Fuller talks about this. He says that wealth is control time. So how do you actually want to be looking at your life as you're moving forward? That's the first key lesson I really want to be giving to everyone, is that when we realize just how much things change in 10 years, it should excite us about what's going on in the future, even though 2020 has been such a terrible, crazy year for so many of us. Here's where I was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we basically were in New York at the Clinton Global Initiative. That was when Bill Clinton was still running the CGI. And we had just basically got the certificate, working together with the Hunger Project, supporting the Hunger Project around the world. This was where I actually got to meet Larry Page, who was at that point, basically, like at the very beginnings, after having bought YouTube, of seeing the next level of the internet, where basically at that point, it was not video internet, it was not mobile internet, it was very much still PC-based internet. That was just 10 years ago, right? And what's happened since then? Here you've got Chad Hurley, and Steve Chen, who started up YouTube, they at the time were superstars because they set up YouTube, and within a year and a half, they sold it for $1.5 billion to Google. Nowadays, those kind of stories happen all the time. We're seeing people actually be able to generate far, far more, far faster. So what's going on and what's different? And more importantly, if 10 years ago, most people weren't even really using YouTube. I mean, in 2010, YouTube was really mainly still cat videos, right? Like it was really at that early days. You know, Facebook, you never looked at it on a smartphone because no one was actually using smartphones. Facebook wasn't even looking that great on the iPhone in those days. But if you actually look at just how much the whole world has changed during that time, and the companies that have since become billion-dollar businesses, Airbnb, Uber, they all started in 2010, right? So at that point, no one had heard about them. And now here we are 10 years later, and these companies have all become multi-billion-dollar businesses, which means in the next 10 years, the companies that become the most successful, the ones that impact the world, they're not the ones that exist today. They're the ones that are going to be started this year, like in 2020. So these are the different waves that are the ones that all of them have either already crested or are on their way. The ones on this side are on their way. These slides, by the way, you can download these slides and you can have a look at this. We're not going to go through every single one of these waves because what I've done is I've kind of like clumped them together into 10 major waves, which are the ones that we're going to go through together here. And on each one, there's going to be something applicable that you can use within your business, regardless of what size your business is right now. You might have a startup, you might be thinking about getting in business, you might have a very successful business or even multiple businesses at the moment. The key thing is wherever you are, there's another level to get to. And so we're going to actually jump into these different waves. And one of the most important things about what's coming in the digital decade is that what has been working for the last 10 years is no longer working. Some of you have been to our events in the last couple of years where we had the Entrepreneur 5.0 event 2 years ago, where we already were predicting what was going to be happening with this crisis and beyond. You know, I was already talking at that point about how the things that were not working, email marketing, social media, while we're all doing it, they certainly weren't having the same results as before. They were going to be replaced with new things. At that point, we didn't know what all the new things were going to be. I'm going to share with you over today and tomorrow what those new things are. And you can actually apply them and put them in place straight away. And the people I'm going to get to share with you, they're going to also be sharing you the things they're doing and the way they're actually using these different tools as well. So if all the old things aren't even working anymore, not even the things at the information age, when we're, like if you're at 4.0, you're like, oh, I think I'm doing pretty well. And you realize suddenly that's already gone out of date. Then what is it we can do next? Why is there such a backlash against people out there who are in tech that happen to be generating all of this value and all this wealth at the moment? The likes of the Jeff Bezos of the world, the likes of the Elon Musk of the world, who've all seen their wealth increase when so many people are struggling. It's because of this thing here, that while we have some people who are struggling because they're stuck in the past and they don't even know how to go get another job, they don't know how to go out and actually use the latest tools, we have others out there that are leveraging all the things I'm going to share with you. And we are in a more even playing field than ever in terms of being able to leverage what's going on in the world. As long as you have got a connection to the internet and you've got the ability to be thinking globally, then you have the ability to be competing with the Jeff Bezos of the world. That's a reality, because the people who were the most successful 10, 20 years ago, when Jeff Bezos started, that was companies like AOL. I mean, those companies don't even exist anymore. And so the most important thing here is to realize that this is about shifting to a whole new age of superpowers. That we're going to see not just superpowers, we're going to see superheroes. And I'm going to give you examples today of exactly what it is to unlock those superpowers, what they look like when you actually shift yourself to wave one, which is the idea of Entrepreneur 5.0. So Entrepreneur 5.0 is a superhero within the pantheon of superheroes. And it's all based on a concept called Society 5.0. Any one of you who have been part of our community for a while, you know about this, you know already about this concept because I keep talking about it. It gives a name to the next digital decade. Society 5.0 is something that the Japanese came up with, and the whole concept of it was they were already looking beyond. You know, if you're doing any kind of lean manufacturing techniques, lean startup techniques, if you're doing any kind of coding, which is using things like Scrum technology, you're using the tools that came out of Japan, first of all with Toyota, and then basically across all of Japanese industry, where they were already one step ahead. They effectively were ones that spearheaded the entire industrial society and information society past the Second World War. And they already were thinking about what comes next as they were already getting into the information society. So the way they explain it is that every time there's been a big, massive shift in the tools that we use, with it comes a big, massive shift in the way we interact with each other. When in the hunter-gatherer society, which was Society 1.0, we suddenly had like spears to go out and hunt with, we got ourselves into tribes. There's no reason to be in tribes otherwise, but that's what made us social animals. We started working together instead of all being kind of like in our own caves. From there, it was then when we actually learned farming, we realized we don't even have to be in a nomadic tribe. We could actually be in a village, and the entire unit of how we actually operated became different. By the time we got to industrial society, which is society 3.0, we realized that being around each other and be more productive in factories or where we can actually be in larger numbers was better than being in the village. And that's when cities took off. And that's really what we've lived through the last 100 years. And then the information society is when we realized we didn't even have to be in the city. We could just connect with each other and do things online. That was the information society. But that's gone through a 10-year period. And that already had, in fact, more like 20 years from 1995 or so to now, 25 years, let's say. That whole information society is already out of date. And what they see coming, which is already with us, is society 5.0, which is beyond the information society, and it's now the impact society. It's the fact that we're going to see all of the intelligence around us just basically be as all-encompassing and pretty much as invisible as electricity, right? Like the way that is, and this is something that Jeff Bezos talked about some time ago already. You've seen these slides, I'm sure, if you've heard me talk about this before. The digital decade is about modern society reaching its limits, and how we're already seeing every single one of these has led to a new movement. Economies of scale has led to problem solving and has led to liberation from focus of efficiencies, that everything has become about basically the wealth gap. Uniformity, liberation from suppression of individuality is what we're seeing in politics right now, where basically now we all want to have higher level of freedom and diversity. Concentration, disparity, which is basically all of the different disparities or inequalities in the world, actually we get rid of that when we decentralize everything from governments to the way that we actually communicate with each other. And as we go on, poverty, all the challenges we're having right now, the entire epidemic of depression that happens with anxiety, which all came out of society 4.0, or disappears in 5.0 because of the way we shift. Now, it's going to happen immediately, but within the next 10 years, those of us who are entrepreneurial, who are actually not expecting to just do the same as the last age, but shift it, we're the ones that actually are going to be the ones making the biggest change. And the rest of the world is ready to follow now. What's happened this year is very, very clear to everybody that the old system is broken and it's time for a new system. So with this in mind, one of the most important things about this 5.0 is understanding how our superpowers show up. This here, which is a TechCrunch article, Japan's Society 5.0 initiative is a roadmap for today's entrepreneurs. This actually came out 2 years ago. It was in February 2019 that this came out. And so here is basically the 5 elements we went through last week in the challenge. So many of you already are up to speed on this. I'm going to give you a demonstration of exactly what this looks like. Insight, impact, income, high touch, high tech. What is it to be the modern Renaissance man and woman? And what it is not about, I've either got to have an online business or an offline business. It's about the combination of high tech and high touch. This is the reason that Amazon is buying over self-driving cars. It's the reason that Tesla is on the one hand spearheading AI, but also revolutionizing the way we're doing our financing of cars and the way we're actually doing retail of cars. They've just totally transformed the whole model. And that's because they're thinking both high tech and high tech together. Don't ever be thinking, I'm just trying to take my business online. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of that in a second. Impact, insight, and income is knowing if you don't have a business that's designed around you, first of all, and designed to actually be able to make something high-level purpose as well as high-level profit, that it's going to make an impact and make an income, where you can be a social entrepreneur making a difference in the world, where you can actually be living the life you want to live and have the freedom that you want, and also have the income that you want as well. If you're not doing these 3 things, then you're not actually at your maximum potential. This means the education system needs to change. It means that the work crisis we have right now needs to totally transform as well. So I'm going to give you an example of what this looks like when you start thinking different. Remember what I was talking here about Steve Jobs and what Steve Jobs was doing 10 years ago, which was launching the iPad. Well, let's come forward to Toyota and say, what did Toyota launch this year? I've actually got a video that I'm going to share with you. And the video, let me just open it up here. Just get rid of this for a second. This video is actually the head of Toyota. So just like the same as Steve Jobs, head of Apple, he's the head of Toyota, and he's not launching here a product. He's launching the future based on Society 5.0. This is Toyota doing this, right? So what Toyota has done, and this is what's kind of interesting, is I was talking about this a year ago, but actually the presentation only happened in January this year. It happened at CES, right? So I'm about to show you the presentation here, but to give you an example of what they're actually doing, what they figured out was that Society 5.0 and the idea of it, it needs a rethink from scratch. So for example, if you want self-driving cars, You can't just plonk them in the middle of LA and expect that they're going to do okay, because the biggest hazard is humans. But if you actually redesign the whole structure, it changes how we're thinking about things. If you want to have hydrogen fueled, or if you want to have a green energy homes, well, then you need to restructure the whole thing. You can't just start from one part. The reason I'm saying this is in the same way, take this analogy and think that your business, which is also just a vehicle, that maybe the whole thing just needs to be restructured. Just in the same way that if you're on a horse, which is 1 horsepower, and cars start showing up, you don't think, okay, the way to 100 horsepower is I just got to get 100 horses. You think, I've actually got to just get off the horse and get in a car. You don't have to be the mechanic to be in a car, right? You can drive a car without knowing how it works. So in the same way, what I'm going to show you in terms of an Entrepreneur 5.0 business and what these 10 trends are about are things that you can just jump in, just like a car. You don't have to be a techie to do it. But the most important thing is to know that thinking from scratch is the most important part. Woven City, by the way, said, well, where's the word woven come from? You're about to see what that is. But the other thing is that you'll see here that this is linking together all of the different elements from driverless cars to robotics, to the idea that if we actually had all the mobility, we had free technology, free everything, that we didn't even have to work, then what would you do with your time? So this is a mind-blowing thought, right? That we're going to be living in a world in 10 years where some of us will choose to be in places where we don't have to work if we don't want to. Now, I had the good fortune of being able to do that when I was in Bali, right? In Bali, the cost of living is so low, or the earnings already from our businesses was high enough that if I wanted to just retire, which is where I was at in my late 30s, if I wanted to just retire and just sit on the beach, I could have done that. But the question is, if you're at the point where you can do that, and every one of you can do that, by the way, by just moving to the right country with the lowest cost, low cost of living, you can actually not have to work anymore. Even at just like $1,000 or $2,000 a month, it's possible to do that already. However, for most of us, we're not doing that because we're not thinking in that way, or our social groups are in other areas, or we don't yet know what is possible. But if you were to do that, then the bigger question becomes, what are you going to do with your time? Because there's a very good chance many of you would still end up being entrepreneurs. So I'm going to just post that question for you as well. I'm going to come back and look at all the comments at the end of today. If you were doing your job or your business for free, which meant you had enough money, you didn't have to earn money from the business, so you weren't doing it for the money, would you still do the same business? Or would you be doing a different business? Like, what would you do differently? So just have a think about that for a moment, and even post down, because some of you will post, yeah, I'd totally be doing the same thing. Some of you say, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd actually be, doing something a bit different or bigger. And ask yourself, well, what is it you would be doing? Would you be doing something having more of an impact? Which, like in Bali, we had some of my friends, they just looked after their kids. Some of them, they decided to go learn an instrument. Some of them, they decided to get into art. Like many of them, like every one of them was into some level of self-expression. And this is the difference of actually having a job which is based on productivity, where you're all going to be out of jobs because computers are going to take over, versus having a job which is all about self-expression, which computers can never overtake you on in your own self-expression. They can help you with it, but they're certainly not going to be able to actually compete with you for your own self-expression, right? So there's a whole new world that's coming our way. And let me show you the video here. I'm going to show you 2 parts. The first part is just the guy who actually is the developer, it's a European architect who actually developed this, and how he's thought differently about a city if you're going to create it from 5.0. And then you're going to actually see the head of Toyota and what he has to say about this as well. So just have a quick look at this.
So basically today, the typical street is a mess with everything and nothing everywhere. So we started by splitting the typical street into 3 separate forms of mobility. The first type is the faster transportation, and every vehicle is autonomous with 0 emissions. And street trees create the necessary distinction between people and vehicles. The second type would be an urban promenade shared by pedestrians and slower personal mobility. And the final type of street will be a linear park with paths for pedestrians only. So imagine walking from one part of town to the other, moving only through a park. So these 3 types of streets will then weave together into a woven grid of 3 by 3 city blocks, each framing a local park or courtyard. Below ground, we find the entire infrastructure of the city, including its hydrogen power storage and water filtration systems. A network for the autonomous delivery of goods also takes place underground and connects directly to the buildings above. Homes in the woven city will serve as test sites for new technology, such as in-home robotics to assist with daily life. So these smart homes will take advantage of full connectivity using sensor-based AI to do things automatically, like restocking your fridge or taking out your...
So think about that for a second, that everything in your life, if it was taken care of by technology, and Buckminster Fuller already said that, he said, we already got enough technology that we could actually solve all the world's problems, right? So what are we doing just basically taking on the machine when the machine can do all this for us? If they can do all these things for us, and we go back to the old world where basically we, could like live in luxury because we had slaves, now they're not human slaves, they're actually like, technology slaves, and we can just do whatever we want in life. What are we actually going to do? Are we going to just end up in debauchery and basically just sitting in front of Netflix all day? Or are we going to go out there and actually make a difference in some way? Let me take you forward now to the actual founder, or not founder, the CEO of Toyota and what he has to say.
So by now, you may be thinking, has this guy lost his mind? Is he like a Japanese version of Willy Wonka? Perhaps. But I truly believe this is a project that can benefit everyone, not just Toyota. If you didn't know, Toyota actually began as a loom manufacturer. We didn't start by building cars, began by weaving fabrics. And now we hope to use the technology to weave together a new kind of city and a new way of enjoying life. As a company committed to mobility for all, and as global citizens, I believe it's up to all of us, especially corporations like Toyota, to do our part to help make the world a better place.
So think about that for a minute, right? Here's the CEO of Toyota who's basically saying impact is first, who's saying, we'll take this all on. We don't have to have the government do any of this. We don't have to wait for some official somewhere to say it's okay. Like, he's not asking for permission. He's just going in there, taking action, and then later on maybe asking for forgiveness, right? Like, the biggest thing for you right now is to say, if I wasn't actually waiting for someone out there to give me permission to be the success I want to be, what are you going to be doing? Here's a guy he's not just coming up with a piece of technology and saying, look what I'm launching. He's launching an entirely new society. So this is what Society 5.0 is about. It's not about us just doing one part, like I'll just start a business. It's about us actually thinking about the whole thing and using our superpowers to do it. Let me bring this right down to core level. And all these links, I'll send these links to you later so you can kind of share them with people around you as well. But whatever's biggest thing just coming out of this first wave, I'd love for you to just share that on here as well. I'm just going to do a quick refresh on here. And the most important thing is that you're actually taking what are the elements here which you're really getting about each wave that you can already be applying in some way. So let me say I wanted to actually apply this already. Oops, my comments are not coming up. Let me try and refresh, see if that helps. Oh, here they are. Okay, we're up to 357 already. So we've got some great people here. We've got Michael Paris, cool, back to the roots from weaving. Yeah, the whole thing even about thinking 100 years back into 100 years in the future and how we weave all the things together. We all have those metaphors in us already. Every one of us is unique. We're different in who we are. I'm going to do this one more time and then give you an example of what actually being an entrepreneur 5.0 looks like, right? So you can see this. So, let me just do a refresh. And I'm just going to take the first person at the top here. Here's a little demo. Oh, we still got Michael at the top here, right? Okay, let's take Michael, right? So we got Michael here. Cool, back to Bruce for weaving, looms to Woven City, great metaphor. Let's imagine that I was coming on board as Michael's partner in his business, all right? And I was coming onto his business and basically Michael's like, look, I just want to upgrade myself to Entrepreneur 5.0. What does that look and feel like? Well, what I do first of all is I say, well, let's actually just get really clear what Entrepreneur 4.0 is. So I'm just going to click on Michael. I'm going to just open up another page. We're just going to go on a 5-minute journey here. And hopefully this will give everyone a bit of an illustration of the difference of the two. So here's Michael, right? So let's have a look. It says, Michael Paris, hi from Paris. Hi, Gold Coast, great to be here. So he's actually posted on here already. We can see that, right? So here's Michael as well. So the first thing that I'm interested in, if I want to figure out basically what Michael Paris is up to right now, is obviously at the moment, he's got a private page, so I can't see what he's up to and what he's doing. But I know he's in the Gold Coast, which helps, right? So I can straight away go out there and use my superpowers, the fact that I'm connected up with the entire internet, which means the internet is my brain right now. And I go to my brain and say, hey, Roger, find out who Michael Paris is in Gold Coast, which is obviously, for those of you in the world who are thinking maybe that is in in Africa, this is actually in Australia. And so here we have Michael Paris, investor, private investor, LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is a good place to go to start with. But of course, because I also know that GeniusU is better than LinkedIn, GeniusU is our platform. If you haven't been on GeniusU yet, that basically is where, let me just open it up here. So we can see it's the same Michael Paris, right? So that's a good start. That's where we start here. I'm going to say, right, Michael, I'm going to help you go to 5.0. Let's see what you're up to right now. Investor, Mermaid Beach, Queensland, Australia. Got here some info about him. in property investing at the moment. He's got some other businesses it looks like he's been involved in the past. Obviously, is on here as well. His interests are in healthcare, IT startup. That's interesting to know. He's got people here like Richard Branson, Deepak Chopra, Gary Vaynerchuk as people he's following. So it gives you a bit of an idea of his focus and his attention and where he's at right now. If I come on to Genius.YOU, if I was interested in seeing, okay, is he on Genius.YOU right now? Why would I want to know that? Because Genius.YOU will tell me exactly what his purpose is, what his passions are. Because what I'm looking to do right now is I'm looking to just get connected to the map of Michael and who he is based on, number one, his Ikigai. We'll come back to this a little bit later, but if you're not familiar with this, I want to know, what does he love, which is the passions? What does he believe the world needs, which is his purpose? What does he believe he's good at, which is his talents? And also, what is he believing he can get paid for, which is his business model? The Japanese call this Ikigai, which is basically when you link them all together, you get to your reason for being. We are overdue an education system, which is what 5.0 expects, which is that each of us actually have connected these four things together. So I'm really seeing that he believes he can get paid for being an investor, right? He's at that level. He also believes, we can see that from what he loves. He's already got interests, which includes healthcare, as well as basically, being on the Gold Coast, like, being there with the lifestyle. So we're seeing that already. I don't know what he believes the world needs at this point, but maybe I'm going to find out. These, by the way, are all tools that the team can drop in the link. So if you don't know what your passions are, or you don't know what your purpose are, the reason we've got 1.4 million people on our platform is because they've all got these free tests that they can take to find out which one they are. And what I'm doing here is just looking to see, okay, if I was on Genius.YOU and I went looking for Michael Paris, would I find him? And is he on here? So we can see, here's Michael Paris, Australia, right? So I can click on this. And I've just found a whole bunch of things out about Michael that I could not know otherwise. Like, imagine this. It's like if you could actually go into your mind and say, look, how much do I know about a particular person? Do you know their purpose? Do you know their passions? I can do that straight away using my computer. And eventually this will be with my goggles. Here is Michael Paris, and he's a Lord profile, which tells me a lot. It means he's very good with detail. Like, if I'm going to get into a property investment, he'd be a good guy to get into one with, because he's not going to miss the detail. He also is now showing that what he really focuses at as his top purpose, because he's done the purpose test, is good health and well-being, right? And if he actually clicked on this, he could actually see all the other people also that are focusing on good health and well-being. This is going to be one of our trends we're going to be talking about tomorrow. But you can actually see all the other people that also have this same one of the 17 global goals. These are all linked to the 17 United Nations global goals. And we can see there's 1,600 members in here, of which Michael already is one, right? So we actually know that already. So this is all super valuable information for me to say, right, you're still at 4.0 because your investment business and your LinkedIn profile is not right now linked to what you're doing on the medical side, right? Like, the fact that you're into good health and well-being, that's not actually showing up here right now. It's certainly not showing on Facebook, it's not showing in LinkedIn. And so anyone who actually happens to be an investor that has the same purpose as you, they're not going to necessarily reach out to you, which means you're going to have to go out knocking on doors to find the people that you want to work with, or wait until you can meet people face-to-face around the world again. Whereas if you're at 5.0, everything starts coming your way. So we see that, first of all. We see all the degrees and things he's been up to. This is like super valuable information. We can even see what events he's been to. So obviously I met him in 2017 when he came for the Fast Forward Summit and the Founders Friday in Melbourne. I met him in 2018 when he came for the Entrepreneur Summit. In 2019, he came to the 2-day Exponential Entrepreneur. So this is your entrepreneur resume, right? So if you're not using Genius.YOU yet, know that you can. But if I didn't have this information, I wouldn't be able to actually advise Michael anything like as much as I can now by knowing all this information. Right now, by the way, if I actually was to say, well, look, is he involved in any other programs at the moment? Like if I was looking for Michael Paris in Gold Coast, and I just want to look at one more thing, I'd look and I'd say, okay, I just want to look at his media. So is he involved in anything that's going on right now, right? There's some things in South California. It's like, nope, he's pretty quiet, right? I'm not seeing anything which is like very obvious where the Google AI is saying, here's what you need to know about Michael. So the final thing that I'll go and look at is I'll just go onto Twitter and I'll say, if I was going on Twitter, would I actually find Michael on here in such a way that I could actually connect up with him and see what's going through his train of consciousness. So what happens on Twitter is this is where you get to see the inside of someone's head, because effectively it's where you're getting connected to others. I'll just put in Gold Coast as well, because that might help as well. And my guess is he probably isn't even on Twitter just because he is more introvert on the still profile. And sure enough, right, even when I look at people, I am not finding him on here at the moment. So I know, okay, that means he's keeping himself to himself, which is okay for some people. However, the key thing is, how do you then connect that with others, given that the 4.0 model is one where your business is separate from your purpose, which is, as we've seen, health, which is separate from potentially your talents, and that no one online is going to know he's actually so good at the detail. So here's what I would do. I would then be saying, okay, well, let's actually now connect up Michael directly with all the best opportunities in property and in health. And just because we know so many people in the market, the first person that I would connect him up with is basically if I was to go to this company, which is a company in South Africa, which is run by one of our Crystal Circle members and partners, Scott Picken. He's come to many of the different programs as well. This is using technology to invest in global real estate, where you're joining members in 133 countries and investing in residential commercial real estate safely and simply. They've got webinars that they're doing to do this. They've had $90 million invested by clients so far. They've had $565 million in US dollar deals in total. You know, the transaction side, $36,000. So they're all coming together as teams. They've got all these different awards that they've won as well. But here's what's so interesting. All of the things that they've found to be most profitable and also purpose-driven are medical. So we already heard that we've actually got Michael already interested in health and in the future. You've now got these different investment opportunities here, where if we go to something like Meridian Medical, this is something in the US where there's effectively, and especially now there's a boom in medical, right? So if you're in property and you're in medical, you can actually end up with a much, much better return by working on the medical side with the property developments that are taking place than if you're just going into residential, for example, right? So you're actually being able to make profit and purpose at the same time. So let's imagine that you go down the line of something like this and we say, well, let's go and actually connect up with Scott. So let's come back here for a moment. And if I was to go and just look for Scott Picken, then we can find that Scott is on here. So here he is. He is on Genius.YOU as well. And I can also find him pretty easily on Facebook and on Twitter. And the first thing is to say, well, if you've got Scott, we haven't got his face on here, but we've got him with Wealth Migrate. He's explaining about, he's a dynamo genius, he's a creator. So he's looking for more people on the detail side. You really can see all the different things he's been involved in, right? The different events he's come to as well. Totally different events. So he's most likely never met Michael before. And we would say straight away, well, if we actually were to get connected up, then the first thing is to say, okay, let's make sure that Scott actually knows. I can actually send a message to Scott and say, hi, Scott. Here we go. Let's go here. All right. Hi, Scott. Oh, Scott's asked for a review. Okay, cool. I think I gave him that a while back. Scott, would love to connect you to Michael Parrott, property investor with purpose of health and well-being, based in the Gold Coast. Now, what's going to happen here is that Scott's going to get back to me and say, yeah, sure, let's connect up. And you're going down the lines of trust and you're connecting up with people where straight away you're actually finding people out there. Now, you could say, well, that's fine if I got Roger mentoring me, right? Because he's going to actually just know what people. But let's imagine that you didn't even know who I was. And you were basically just out there trying to do 5.0, which is connecting to the best in the world. What I would be doing is something like this, where I'd be saying, well, let's actually say who actually at the moment is doing the things that are at the forefront, you know, of property investment, right, for a property investor, which is specifically around health, right? Because there's going to be things that are going on out there. And if I was to actually just go onto news and say, well, what's actually going on at the moment? Eleanor Healthcare Fund continues expansion. There's a fund that's actually, this is 7 hours ago. Automated AI measurement of abdominal fat predicts a major cost of, okay, that's obviously linked to property somewhere. Healthcare deals in UK swell as investors seek safe haven, right? So it's like, that's 3 weeks ago. So it's like, there's all these deals that are taking place. So let's just take this as an example, right? Healthcare deals in UK swell as investors seek. So here's Financial Times, right? So record 6 billion of assets on market include Priory Chain, care homes, special schools. So this is all things where basically you've got all of these investors saying, well, everyone's going to keep on getting sick. So let's actually get our investments in. So the healthcare market is booming at the moment in this area. You've got Knight Frank that's actually in this space that's doing this right now. You've got Four Seasons, care home providers in the process of being broken up after being taken over by creditors. So this is like a big opportunity right now that this is actually happening. So it's like, well, okay, let's just, out of all the things we're talking about, let's just talk about this one specific thing here. Let's talk about Four Seasons. And let's imagine that you didn't know me, you didn't know anything, and just like, I just want to basically, and we're at a point where I'm taking the next step on here, which is what level is someone like Michael at. And on our different platforms here, we will see that if you're not familiar with our levels, we have got the levels of the spectrum here, where I would say that right now Michael's at blue level because he's an investor. So he's already up above just doing startups. He's going to have money to invest. He's going to know people with money to invest as well. I'll link that also to these ones here, which is basically where you got a size of business, where I'm saying that I believe he's probably at level 2 or level 3 in terms of the size of business, in that he's doing most of his investments himself or with small groups. and he can decide, do I want to actually lift myself to a high level? Let's imagine he does. And in up times, you always should be selling. In down times, you should be buying. So he should be saying, right, what am I looking to buy right now? Or at least attracting other people to, right? So Four Seasons will be taken over by H2 Capital Partners. They've already got a hedge fund that's coming in to take control of these, right? So the people that are doing this, they're going to actually be looking for how do we make sure we operate these well at the same time that we have the opportunity to actually build with others, right? So let me do two things right now. First one is I'll do what I would do if I was just Michael going to 5.0 and I didn't know who I was. And then I'll do the second thing, which is knowing who I am. What would be the extra things I do knowing that health is there, now me knowing about Four Seasons, knowing that they just got taken over by Capital Partners in September, and what the next steps are. What I would do is I would start by saying, well, these guys here, they've got an interesting name, Four Seasons, H2 Capital Partners, right? That there's going to be someone there who actually was part of this deal, who's just gone and spent 400 million pounds, and it's going like, right, okay, let's take this thing. They are a hedge fund. They're not interested in actually looking to invest. They're going to be selling at some point in the future, right? So you got here, head of healthcare of Knight Frank is Julian Evans. So he knows about the whole deal here. He's the best guy because he's always looking for a deal. He would want not only for H2 Capital Partners to buy this right now, but he'd want to have them sell it later, and they'd probably sell it up and break it up in different parts because it's a pretty big deal here, right? So I'd say, okay, Julian Evans, that's who I want to get connected to. So I'll go straight away on here. If I was Michael, I'd go Julian Evans, Knight Frank, and I'm going to contact him. And I'm going to basically find out exactly what's going on with this deal, how we can be a part of it. So here's Knight Frank, here's Julian Evans. We can see here as well, you know, the different stories and things that he's part of. So there's Julian. We can actually come here as well. Like when you have the ability in your mind to basically read the other people's minds, see who they're at, see what their issues are, find out what it is that you actually want to be achieving with them off the back of this. This is mind-blowing, right? This is 5.0, that you're unlocking your superpowers to have a Rolodex of basically 7 billion people around the planet, and you can get to anyone, anywhere, and actually immediately get connected to who he is. Now, what's interesting here is that he's got his own personal page, right? So he's actually, here's Julian Evans, right? So you can see here, he's part of Knight Frank. He's into charities and sponsors. Look at this, like here's his profile, right? So we've never met Julian before, don't know who he is. He climbs mountains, British adventurer, dedicated fundraiser, married with 2 children, living in Leicester. We're finding out so much information about him. Part of the Explorer Club, right? There he is, taking Knight Frank up into the top of Everest or somewhere. Yeah, it's Everest, right? So he's the 378th Briton to summit Everest. We can see he's into charities and sponsorship, right? So we can see that as well, right? So here is charity sponsorship, Caring Homes Group, right? Primary sponsor. So he's actually got the actual same companies that he's actually supporting who are now sponsoring him on the stuff that he's up to when he actually goes out on his expeditions, right? So he's got these different, and he himself is a proud brand ambassador of the Edmund Hillary collection, right? So he's doing all this cool stuff right now. So we can basically send him a message and we can say contact, right? So, and by the way, we can phone him up today if we wanted to. And if I had more time, I'd actually just phone him at the moment, right? But we're not even gonna bother to put the phone details in. We can actually send him an email, and straight away by sending him an email, have the, in fact, let's just do this, right? I'm just gonna go straight to emails, and I'm just going to jump in here, and I'm gonna go up to compose, and I'm going to just plonk in here, compose here, and let's wait for the compose to come up. And here it is. Oh, super slow Google today. Let's see if it works. I hope everyone's getting 5.0 is not about sitting around waiting for someone to phone you, right? 5.0 is about realizing that people are waiting for you right now. Julian Evans is out there, sponsorship, opportunity. And then basically straight away, hi Julian, my name is Roger. I'm actually live on Global Entrepreneur Summit right now with 3,000 others. One of the participants is a property investor in Australia, and we were looking at the deal. Maybe go back and make sure we get the right one. Four Seasons. Four Seasons. We're involved with Wealth Migrate, which is a crowdfunding site, which medical properties. To connect. Oh, now I'll just put the brackets in as well. By the way, everything is about trust, right? Like, he doesn't know who I am, he knows nothing about me, but if I can actually just link all the things that he's interested in and the things that he's doing with the things that we actually ourselves are interested in, then everyone's there to help everyone, right? This is not me taking anything from him, it's me just giving. And we would love to have a conversation about what happens. By the way, I'm not just doing this as a demonstration. I mean, this can all happen. And if Michael goes, this is great, I'm going to do something with it, great. And if he doesn't, then we have other people that would do this as well. And all of this is about just actually knowing at any point you can play at the highest level if you choose to, by knowing everything's already out there. About what the next steps are. And then just start by the way, great to meet a fellow adventurer. We have been this in 2021, and would love to hear your experiences. How we can get involved with your activities. So there's like, I would say 99% chance he's going to get back to me on this, because why would he not? And then off the back of that, we can then get them connected up. And here's the thing, right? Like, this is me with someone I don't even know, and we do this all the time with whoever is the best in the market. If you gotta actually go out there and do it, why not actually just go out there and do it with the very best, right? That's the key. Now, the other thing is that when you're doing this and you realize how much value you can give to the world by actually opening up your superpowers, off the back of that, the key thing is, well, who else would we connect with? And there's really two people that I would say straight away. The first is Will Butler, right? If I go to Facebook and I just go and find Will Butler, Will Butler is also someone who knows Scott Picken very well in South Africa. And if we basically look at, if I just come over to Will's page here, he is an adventurer, right? So he basically is training up to eventually climb Everest. And so let me just get Will here. And what is so key about this is that if you start connecting the right people, I know Will for sure would love to connect up with him as well. Oh, sorry, William Butler. He would for sure want to get connected up with him as well. And so as a result of that, by just knowing, so here he is already climbing one of the mountains he was climbing recently, adventurer, going out, doing all this kind of stuff. And he's also basically part of something called Uprising, which he helped to set up, which is actually going out and creating summits, right? It's different peaks. And so off the back of this, getting connected up with Will, and I'm just going to message Will. Hi, Will. He may even be on this call, maybe. So let's just have, oops, we'll chat on that one and just get them connected up. So that would be one thing. And then the second thing, what a great adventure. I'll drop that in later. And so as a result, even though I haven't actually climbed Everest, even though I've been to the top of it, or the base camp by helicopter, by knowing that there's others actually who are doing that and getting them all connected, I'm adding value through the whole chain. And it'll all come back one day, right? But the key thing is it immediately helps someone like Michael. He's getting connected to the people actually already doing 400 million pound deals. He at the same time is now actually getting connected to people that are getting value from the others that are actually through the pathway as well. And the final person that I'd actually mention is definitely Simon Zucchi. So those of you who know Simon, we're going to talk more about him this afternoon. He runs the Property Investors Network, which has got these different sessions all over the UK right now. And so they happen every single month. Where everyone actually meets up, and Simon's going global now. We're going to hear more about how that's happening this afternoon and how he's built, he's part of our entire junior curriculum that we're doing. But the ability to then actually have the kind of speakers, as you've actually just seen there, like Julian, who's in the UK, actually show up at one of the PIN meetings and share about what he's doing, be able to actually raise funds off the back of it. Then as a result of that, actually get to know the entire property investment community, and then actually at the same time, get connected in with those who are already interested in the medical side. Everything comes together. Your job is not to be the person who is the lightning rod for all of this. Your job is to be the river that flows between those who are actually out there creating the energy. At the end of the day, it's all about connection. And if we're not out there realizing that 4.0 was about content, but 5.0 is about connection. We're in a world of already too much content. But if we can get back to connection, that can make all that difference. So whatever is biggest learning from what you just heard on that, please do post that. I'm actually going to come on over to the post right now just to kind of see what the biggest things are that we got on here, because we're about to move onto the second of the waves, right? So let's actually just share here. And what you would have seen in the way that I was sharing all of that is I was using all of media, all of the internet as a receiver, not as a transmitter. Most of us think of social media as being about being a transmitter. This is not about being a transmitter. It's about being a receiver, and how do you actually connect all the pieces together as you're actually moving into kind of next element as you go as well. I think there's so many comments going that I'm actually freezing on my page at the moment, or maybe I've just got too much open, but I'll see how it works now. So we're coming back to it, and let's see what we've got going on our comments at the moment. And I'm going to just make a distinction about the idea of connection versus the idea or receiving versus the idea of transmitting or broadcasting, right? Because these are two very important things about your superpowers as well, is that you have the ability to do both. And guys, I don't know if this is just my screen, but I'm not actually getting any comments at all at the moment. So I'm just wondering if that's me. I don't know if Michelle, you could come on for a second, or maybe.
Yeah, it's working great my side, Roger. Do you want me to share some of the comments with you?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. What are you getting on your side? And I'll
getting loads of comments. Everyone's having a great time with this. So receiving versus transmitting, loving it. With the river, our job is to connect, says Linda. Genius You looks like a great way to connect entrepreneurs, is Paul. Susan saying learning is not about info, it's about connection. I've heard it from you before, but now I get it. Loads of people commenting on this awesome way that you're just showing people how to 5.0 connect, like really loving it. And we're busy posting links to everyone that you're connecting with as well.
Just as an intro, I see Candy here saying Will Butler also climbing Everest and investing properly, also Simon Zucchi pen. Okay, so everyone's kind of getting the idea. I see Yvette saying being a receiver. Okay, so everyone's getting the idea behind this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Cool. And collect any kind of questions that you have as you're going as well, so we can kind of come to them too.
Yeah, we will do. We haven't got any questions at the moment, just lots of comments, but we'll come back to you with questions.
Thank you so much. Okay, great. So I now have got I've reset, and so now I've actually got my screen here. So I'm going to take us. I'm going to do something kind of interesting here. I'm going to take the second of the waves. So here we are. There's me looking at myself. So I'm going to take the second of the waves, and I'm going to basically share with you something here about what superpowers looks like from behind the scenes. Because if you look at, let me just go back to this one here, which was the, I'll just close all of this up for a second, because I think I've been using all these already. So this one here, I'm just going to close, and I'll just close this one as well. This is where I was. So let me just show you another example of what we mean by superpowers. Like, you might look at YouTube, and when you look at YouTube, you might be seeing something like this, which is basically like how 4.0 looks at YouTube, which means you're just seeing videos. 5.0, it looks like this, right? 5.0 is where I can see right behind into YouTube and how the AI works and everything around it. I can see this video I was just showing to you that has had 159 comments, 92,000 views, which of course you can see as well. But more importantly, I can see how this all links into different tags that have been used here. I can see that Toyota Woven City is actually coming out number 5 right now. And I can see on Woven City is coming at number 5 as well. So if I click on this one, Toyota Woven City, I can actually see that for all of the people on YouTube right now, there's 2,241 people in the last month that actually even searched for this term. And if I was basically working for Toyota and I was wanting to really maximize, I'd say, well, you're not going to get a lot of views on this one here, right? So off the back of that, I'd be looking and saying, well, what actually is going to be giving more views? Well, we can see there's 28,000 people looking for CS, right? And if we actually go back and look at, well, were they actually there under CES? If I just go back for a moment and close this one, I can see that as I look down here, they've got CES Las Vegas, they don't even have CES on here, right? Okay, so they have it here, right? But they're not actually on it. So we say, well, why are they not on it? What's going on? Like, here's CES, and I can see basically CES, the people that are ranking high are also on these ones here, CES 2020. And if I click on CES 2020, right, and I say, just search this term, and by the way, this system that we're using right now is free, right? So there's two you can use. There's one called vidIQ, right, which basically is all using AI to actually find out the very latest. You can do it as a plugin on Chrome. So very, very super easy. All the top YouTubers use this. And at the same time, there is a second one, which is called TubeBuddy, which just basically does a similar job, but gives you a lot more content tools as well. You don't even need to be a YouTuber to use all this information, but don't think for a second that all those people you see with multi-million subscribers or hundreds of thousands of subscribers that they're not actually already using all of these different tools. That's how they're 5.0 when so many of us are 4.0, right? We're just not actually even using all these different tools. Like these are all the guys up here, Mark Cuban, Daryl Eves, Evan Carmichael, these are all the guys already using all these tools. They're really superhuman in how they're using YouTube. So the way we got YouTube up to 125,000 this year, that was myself and my son Luke that was actually doing it, was by doing exactly that, right? So if I just go onto my channel, and you can go subscribe to my channel anytime, I posted something just yesterday that is on here. It's called Attack of the Debt Tsunami. And you can see here, it was only 12 hours ago. And already, if I just open it and just show you what it looks like, Attack of the Debt Tsunami, 2021 crash of the debt bubble. It's had 4,200 views so far. It's had 850 thumbs up. It's had, let's see how many comments so far. Now, this is me while I was preparing for today, thinking, I'm just going to post a video up there. And when you've got that many people already engaging, 75 comments so far, some of you might be following Neil. Great video, Roger, 100% agree on the forecast. This is Neil here. He has his own page. He's got his own superhuman powers as well. So superheroes connect to superheroes, right? And every one of you can be the same thing. So here's Neil. He's in the UK. He's got 250 subscribers. And all of his stuff is very similar. But because I'm showing up on his stuff and he's showing up on my stuff, you get to the top people in the market immediately, just off the back of basically realizing that the moment that YouTube picks up, or Google, because YouTube is owned by Google, picks up who you are, they notice who are the ones that are actually optimizing, and then they actually focus at that point. And it's lonely at the top. There aren't that many people that get to the top of Everest. But the only reason I'm there, and the only reason Neil is there, isn't because we're smarter or better than anyone. We're just using the internet as our brain. And we're using all these tools in a way that actually allow us to get there. And any one of you could do exactly the same thing. And it's just about understanding what is the right way to do it, what are the best steps to take. And immediately you can see on my one already that I'm able to track my own. And this allows me to see everything about where I'm at. You can see what I've tagged, what I'm showing up for right now, which is all here as well. And so YouTube then picks this up and then goes and recommends it to everyone that's out there. And then everyone else actually ends up getting to see it as well. And you can even at any point basically just kind of optimize. And we're going to show you how to do that off the back of this as well. So I'm just going to share that as a key thing, because this is about basically realizing even when you're broadcasting, there's ways to broadcast that can actually totally transform the way you're thinking about it, right? Now, let's come back to the second wave, because the second wave, which is something which I touched on last week with those who are in the